Aliens Dark Descent, for me at last, came out of nowhere. And I didn't expect much, but I was pleasantly surprised how well the game captures the atmosphere of the franchise. And do you know which types of games I love the most? Polarizing games. While the general media consensus scores it between decent to very good, gamers are bashing each other's heads in. No, the death clock is shit. No, it makes the game interesting in the first place. You know what? The death clock is great. And you know what's even better? You can noticeably diffuse or deactivate it if you don't like it, but you shouldn't. Let me explain why while we take a closer look at the game's mechanics. You might be familiar with the fact that I have a soft spot in my heart for overly ambitious and somewhat janky games. Here's another one of those. Aliens Dark Descent is a weird but mostly functional mashup between Dawn of War 2, Phoenix Point and Alien Breed. You command a squad of colonial marines which acts as a single entity. You can't directly give orders to a single soldier, but there's a command point system which allows you to let them perform special actions. There are commands like to use shotguns, drop a sentry turret, deploy the grenade launcher, or slow down enemies by laying down suppressive fire. This in combination with a slow motion or pause feature, choose which one you like better, sets the stage for some easy to learn and hard to master tactical gameplay. If you're not familiar with the Aliens franchise, here's a brief rundown. The main problem in movies and games usually are one or more xenomorphs designed in the 80s by the famous artist H.R. Giger. They have the unpleasant habit of replicating themselves within humans and animals, killing their hosts in the process, which makes them rather unwelcome guests at stand-up receptions and on remote colonies far from Earth. On top of that, their blood is acidic and they grow even faster than Bobby Kotick's pile of interpersonal faceplants. Good thing is, you don't need to be familiar with any of that to play the game. Everything you need to know lore-wise is described perfectly during the rather lengthy tutorial and later in the campaign. What Dark Descent does best is to capture the, well, dark and gritty atmosphere of the first two movies. Navigating through the colony feels just as threatening as exploring Sevastopol Station in the phenomenal Alien Isolation from 2014. What I like is that the game doesn't stop at the feeling and the atmosphere it captures so well. It rather tries to cover every aspect of the scenario and supports the threatening vibes by always giving you a challenge, regardless of whether you're occupied with fighting aliens or managing your crew. Marines can get wounded, tired, exhausted, and even mentally unstable. If they hit high stress levels during missions, they are prone to suffer from persistent trauma afterwards, which needs to be treated to remove a permanent debuff. Like in real life. I don't call it trauma, it's my childhood debuff. I'm just joking, take this shit seriously or you'll mess up yourself and your children. You also need to juggle with where to invest precious materials collected on missions and from random events. You'll never have enough of them to get everything you want. They can be used to buy new weapons, upgrade your marines, and also to equip them with tools and medkits. You can also collect and research alien tissue and other leftovers to improve your gear. The strategic part of the game is a semi-open world where you unlock missions in a linear fashion, but you can return to any place at any time. Missions often require several deployments because your marines usually can't reach all of the objectives without running out of ammo or getting overly stressed. And on top of that, the planetary infestation level is increasing. It will grow with every additional day, making your job harder and harder as time passes. So all of your actions count, and keeping your marines in prime physical and mental condition is the most important task you have. After a certain point in the game, another limiting condition will appear, the death clock. It gives you a fixed amount of days to complete the last missions. So, how is this fun? I look at it this way. The infestation level is an elegant way to incorporate a steady rise of the difficulty level as you progress through the game. Most other games just magically throw tougher opponents at you as you progress. As if alien invaders would send their weakest morons first, their better troops later on, and the elite units arrive last. I guess not. The death clock adds even more urgency to your mission and fits in nicely with the lore and the story. But like I said, the best thing is that you can configure the game however you like. On easy, you can mostly ignore the infestation level and the death clock is quite generous. On normal, it has an impact but isn't completely out of control. Hard looks a bit different, and let's not talk about nightmare. But there's already a mod to deactivate it completely. The devs also announced to integrate some means to toggle it off in one of the next patches. I wouldn't recommend the removal though, because this would allow you to turtle in and just skip days to heal your marines. But if that's how you like to play, go for it. Now let's check what it's not to like about the game. Bugs. Lots of them. Also, the animations are partially janky, characters clip into the furniture at times, and sometimes events don't trigger because one of your marines opened a box nearby which confused the script. Then there's the game's habit to take control of your squad and auto-rotate the camera at the same time. Moving my marines into a position I'd never put them in the first place is a bad idea. But rotating the camera on top of that to leave me disoriented for a few seconds as an army of xenomorphs arrives has to be intentional torture. The tutorial is very lengthy and then there's unskippable dialogue during missions. Performance also is an issue. I get consistent 100+ FPS on my 3090 in 4K, but the game still stutters sometimes. If I use VSync, there's so much lag it feels like 20 FPS. Oh, and the standard Recon class looks like designed by a 12-year-old edgelord. Apart from these issues, the game really got me hooked. It has this just one more mission vibe and managed to keep me playing like only few games did in the last few years. Battletech was one of them. Aliens Dark Descent looks very nice, has well-crafted and interesting locations, and you also might be able to lose the game if you're not playing smart. What an upset. It's available for $40, which is great value in my opinion. We paid a lot more for a lot less in the past. If you're not a die-hard Aliens or RTS fan, I'd suggest to wait a bit until the worst bugs have been ironed out. We already got a big patch and I guess more will come. At a discounted price for like $30 in a few months, it's a no-brainer then. Still, I can absolutely understand if one doesn't like the game. It's challenging and does a few things different than expected. I for my part love it and I'm happy we've got another remarkable single-player addition to the franchise after 9 years of waiting. I didn't reach the end yet, so I can't tell you anything about whether the story keeps up with the gameplay or not. I hope it doesn't stray too far from the movies. Well, we'll see. Thanks for stopping by, maybe like and subscribe, and see you next time.